Hello. I set this all up a bit last minute, so do confirm that you can actually see and hear me, because I'm sure I've screwed something up somewhere. And I've just had to run and get tissue paper for the dry brushings and get everything ready, because I was all a bit last minute. So I'm a bit out of breath, so apologies. Welcome, one and all, to another last minute live stream. Usually done when I suddenly find I've got the time to do one and I'm suddenly free to do one. Mama Fox decided to get up a bit earlier today, so I'm like, yes! So happy times. So I am free to do a stream just properly for a couple of hours. Just thought I'd get you guys to keep me company while I did some bits and bobs. I'm going to be doing some chipping on my Macharius Vanquisher today, so I thought I might as well hang out with you guys. I'm a bit out of breath because I've just had to run downstairs and get extra kitchen rolls, because I've got kitchen roll for, you can't see it, for like dry brushing, but I suddenly realised I've got almost none left, so I had to run downstairs and get a pack of kitchen rolls. Ooh, I had like literally about 20 seconds to go till we went live, so ooh. Hey, anyway, yes, welcome to a last minute live stream. Before I get going, as always, let me do all the usual shout-out nonsense to my supporters, corporate supporters, emodels.co.uk and goblingaming.co.uk, your one-stop shops for all your tabletop and model making needs. Links to both those stores in the description below the video. Make sure you use those links. Don't just go to the websites, because if you use those links, it tells them I sent you, and I get some income from that. So I get some kickback, some right lovely kickback. So go and use those links. And of course, to my patrons and channel members who literally support this channel, they pay me each month. They pay my wages out of the kindness of their hearts, and it means I can do this for a living, stay here 24/7, at the bench, not literally at the bench, but I can work from home technically doing this, which means I'm free to look after Mama Fox. So without them, none of that would be possible. So big thank you to them. If you want to become a patron or a channel member, just go to patreon.com/modelmakingguru. Links down there in the bottom corner somewhere. Or you can just press the join button underneath the video. Either way, you'll become a member or a patron. You'll be supporting the channel and helping keep the channel alive. And don't forget, of course, you do get access to the live 24/7 Zoom Hangout and associated Facebook group chat. Again, all links and stuff in the description below the video for those if you want to find out how to join those. Right, I've got my tea ready. Oh. Swig of tea. I'll have a quick look and see who's in chat, and then we'll crack on. I say crack on, I probably end up getting nothing done. You know what it's like. So let's have a look. First in was Max McGinn saying hi to me and everyone in chat. Hope you're all doing okay this evening. Hi Max. Wendy Hickson's in. Hey Wendy, big hugs. Edward Leonard's in. Squishy hugs. There we go. He's just nipped in the shower, so he'll be back in a minute, I guess. So big hello to Edward. The Raging Modeler's in. He's here currently. We're in the background while he goes through some 30 documents to read at home for work training. No, I'm not getting paid. Nothing worse than having to do work at home when you're not getting paid for it. I just, no. Hang on, you do the cookering. What documents do you have to read? Put thing in pan, cook thing, eat thing with face. There you go, done. That's cooking, isn't it? He's seething apparently. Yeah, Slackworm likes a good seethe. I like Slackworm. Mark Shellard's in. Hi, Mark Shellard. He says hi, everyone. Welcome, Mark. We have... Who else? Paul Di Tommaso is in. Hello, everybody. Welcome, Paul. Big hugs to you. Dorcasaurus is in. Welcome, Dorcasaurus. Hey, all my words just fell over at the same point in time and just collapsed into each other. Dorcasaurus says, hello, Fox. Fox hugs and everyone in Chatland. Candy Grab from Mongo's in. Hey Jeff, he says, everyone, hi Fox, everyone in chat. I won't be able to participate in chat, but I'll be watching and reading along. Thank you for coming along anyway. That's not a squig off. Also, I am very excited. The iMac payment has been taken. It's mere days until I has it. Adam's ordered himself a new iMac. I don't know why. I just use Windows like the normal people, but he likes to use a Mac, I suppose. He probably wears a beret and and all that kind of like 1990s arty types. I don't know. Graham McRobertson. Hey, Graham. Says, hi, Foxy. Sorry I'm late. No worries, buddy. Yes, I am the chef of the pastry things, but I also work in the garden centre, so I have to go through all that nonsense. Ah, okay. So you have to know all about the plants. Okay, never mind. Better read all that stuff then, hadn't you? Right, so today... I'm going to be clearing my throat, my apologies. Today I'm going to do the chipping on the Macharius Vanquisher, which has been built and base coated for about 3 weeks now, and I need a dust because I haven't touched it. It's got dust all over it. Hang on, where's my dusty brush? Where's my dusty brush? Oh no! I can't find my dusty brush. Oh no, I'll have to use a different brush. That's illegal. Oh well. Give it a quick dust. It's been in the cabinet, but you never know. So I want to get the chipping layer done on this. I should really do the decals first, but there's so few of them. I can just apply them later and, you know, add some chipping to them if I need to. So I've got the base coat down. I haven't. The tracks look a funny colour, but they're not really fully sorted yet. I'm going to do obviously rusty tracks, so they will eventually look more reddy brown. They're just like a base grey coat at the moment. I'll probably do some more work on those before I start all the rusty colours. But this is just the initial setup, so we'll just get all this dust off. Remove your dust. I've got to be very careful with this because it's resin, of course. It weighs a ton, literally a metric ton. And I keep touching the heavy stubbers at the front there, and they're really soft and flexible and bendy. I keep grabbing it and going, oh, nearly snapped them. Because if I snap them, that'll be sadness. So I've got to be really careful with that. I've also got my t-shirt down, so I'm not stripping paint off corners. It's only light airbrush coats on this, so of course if I'm doing this and resting it on corners and things, before you know it, you'll have all the paint coming off the corners. So I've got to be very careful with this. I do intend on selling this, so I need to make it look as good as possible. Yes. Now I've not got lots of all the details and stuff painted. I've literally just got the base coat greens down for now, so we'll get some chipping done and then we can worry about tarting up the rest of it later. Are those guns straight? Have I got them straight? Yes. Just checking. I suddenly looked at it and thought, they don't look straight. Oh, but they are. I sounded like the Trade Federation does not think these guns are straight. Yes, I know, I watched that film. I don't know where to put this now, out of the way, safe. I'll put it up over there where I can't accidentally bend something. I'll be able to accidentally bend something, don't you worry. Gross Models is in. Chris at Gross Models. Hey Chris, he says chips. Chips. Let's have a look. People have come in. Where are we up to? Chaos is in. Scale Modelling Chaos. Evening everyone. I hope you are all well. Thank you, dude. Very well here. Fox, hope Mummy is doing well. She's doing fine. She got up early today, so she's sat downstairs watching her telly box. Now I'm just thinking about California Highway Patrol, says Chris. Damn it, now I've got the theme tune in my head, you git. God damn it. Chris, I hate you completely. Right, so today we're going to do chipping. I'm going to be requiring the gloves. I don't really know why. A, to protect the paint, and B, because it can get messy doing chipping with a sponge. So what I'm going to be doing this afternoon is the initial highlight chip layer. I like to do it highlights and then fill the highlights. If you've seen me do this before, probably a million times. I can't get my glove on. Get on, get on. There we go. You've probably seen me do this a million times before. And you're going to see me do it a million times again. But I like to do... There's different ways of doing chipping. But I like to do it in most part. For a long time I've been doing brush chipping where I just brush paint on all the chips and then that takes forever. But I've actually started doing sponge chipping for the initial bits just because it's a bit faster and it kind of looks more interesting anyway. So I've got my bit of sponge. I'm going to chip a highlight colour. I'm torn between my iPad. Do you know? I'm torn between Nurgling Green or Ogren Camo. I think Nurgling Green will look better, but I also think once the weathering goes on, it's going to kind of disappear. The trick with chipping is you want it to look a bit ridiculous at first, because it does need to stand out once all the other weathering goes on. But I don't have a brighter light green. I do have Elysian Green, but it's a bit darker. It's not really light enough. So we'll see how it goes out. I'll just have to go with what I've got. We shall see. But that's the trick, you see. You want this initial highlight coat to be stupidly bright so it stands out like a disease of some sort. We'll try a little bit. We'll try some underneath, because underneath is always a good place to do your tests and experiments. And then we'll see how that comes out. So I will very carefully. I can't put it down like that because of these lids. So I've got to somehow... I didn't plan for this. I've got to somehow... put it on something. Put it on that. There we go. And that's completely not secure in any way, shape or form. I've got to be cautious of these, the covers for this hatch, you see. I don't want to snap them off. Again, it's all resin and it's all CA glue, so yeah, good luck with that. Chris says, hello and hugs to everyone. I'll be around in the background or napping, one of those. Yeah, napping's good. So we'll do some, I'll just check underneath. Yep, nothing's at risk of being broken. Because ultimately underneath's going to get covered in dusty dirt anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much when we do these little tests. So I'll just have a look down there. It's pushing it a bit down there. I also want to put it underneath there, don't I? See, this is the downside of delicate fiddly resin nonsense, you see. Fox, try the Hobby Boss 1/6 scales Tiger tank. Yeah, I don't think I'd fit that on my bench. Oh, I don't think I'd ever finish that ever. The advantage of this particular Macharius Vanquisher is it had like 10 parts. Because it's resin, it was literally like it had 10 different... It wasn't easy, but it had like 10 parts. Right, so we'll do a quick test. Well, first of all, we'll get our piece of sponge. I'm going to rip a little bit off. I'm ripping it, not cutting it, because I want that rough edge. What I'm going to do is pick at this. Let me just move that out of the way. I'm going to pick at this first of all. I'm just going to fuss it and distress it, because I don't want a nice smooth edge. I want it to look kind of blurpy and random. Right, there we go. Bits of fluff everywhere. Let me just get rid of them bits of fluff. Oh, they're sticking to everything. Oh, the static cling. Oh, static cling! Get off! There you go. Let me get rid of the bits of fluff as best I can, because, you know, static cling. Right, so there's one. See? Won't go anywhere. Right, so we shall get this. And I shall put this back on here carefully. And I nearly bent the stubbers again. Can't win. Can't win. I'll put this there where you can see. I'm going to put something under the front, I think, am I? Just to support it. Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I think. Just about. There we go. Right, so we've got a little bit of sponge. I can stress it a bit more with some scissors. I'll just do this over here out of the way because I don't have to move anything around again. I'm just stressing it with some scissors to get, again, more rough edges. Just to tease it and fluff it. Right, there we go. So what I want to do is get myself my bit of sponge. I want some tweezerage. There are the tweezers there. Get myself my what do you call it, tweezers, reverse tweezers. So we've got our bit of sponge there, perfect. All I'm going to do, and you're not really going to see this because it's going to be off camera, but what I'm going to do is take a piece of tissue. It's basically dry brushing, but with the sponge. Get some paint on the sponge, just a tiny amount, don't need a lot. That'll do. And then I'm going to get most of that off on this tissue until I just get a very delicate spitty spotty pattern. I don't want big blobs of it, because then what I need to do is come in like this and just touch it to edges and things like that. Now it's a bit too much on there. Now it's going to look weird because it always does when you do this first coat, because you're just putting bright green on something. I'm going to try and focus on raised edges, but it always looks a bit weird when you first do it, because you're doing this bright colour on top of a darker colour, and it doesn't really make any sense, but it really comes together when you later on do the dark colour in the middle of it. The advantage to doing it with the sponge, and you might not even be seeing this on camera, it might not even come out on camera because it's quite subtle, but the advantage to doing it with a sponge is that it's kind of more random than trying to just paint it. If you try and paint your chips, it's kind of more random than that, because you do get more of a random speckle effect. But it's also a heck of a lot faster. So I'm not being too careful down here. This is just a test area down here, really. I'm just kind of testing out my chipping technique. It's like a dry, because this will get covered in dirt and dust and mud anyway, so it doesn't really matter what goes on down here, because it all gets covered up nicely. So So I'm just really testing this colour, and I do think this colour will be fine. It is going to disappear quite a bit when I get the actual paint down. A bit more in here, perhaps. It is going to pretty much, a lot of it vanish when I get the final weathering and stuff on top, but, you know, we'll go with it. So I'm really just trying to concentrate on things that aren't on camera. Well done, Fox. And apologies, this isn't on camera. I'm trying to concentrate on edges that really would be the points of contact in real life. So where you're likely to get damage and chipping and stuff. And I'm just getting it on. I need to refill that, so let me just put that down. More paint, please. More paint, not too much. So it's kind of like dry brushing. If you've never done this, it is a... I always preferred brush painting the chips normally, because it's kind of fun and very zen, but it does take a long time. But this method, and I know you can't see me doing this particular bit here, this method, I need to put my goggles on, I can't see. This method does give you a more random spotting, and it does give you more tiny spits and spots. Brush painting, you'll tend to do lots of bigger blobs. Now when we come to do the rusty colour in the middle of all this, we will of course do more. We'll do it with a brush. For the moment, this bit is just to get the base speckle. When we do the rusty interior parts and any bits that might be bare metal, we'll do with a brush. But for this bit, we can build it up. And I'd say because you get such fine, tiny little dots, you can really build it up. And if you do get a big splot of paint anywhere by accident, it's not the end of the world, because you can build that into a big chip later on. Big chips. So you can see I'm going quite intensely, and it's going to look really weird at first. I'm not really bothered too much about down there. It's going to look really weird, but it will all come together at the end. Trust your Uncle Fox. And I have got a plan for here, and I need to do that actually. Once I've done this chipping, I need to get this barbed wire on here. We've got some barbed wire to go on this as well. Now I'm not fussed if I get any of this on the tracks just at the moment, because they're going to be fully painted up anyway. They're just a generic base coat for now. And again, they are going to be quite muddy as well, so I'm probably not going to do too much chipping down underneath. But this is it now for the next couple of hours. Yee! So I will do my best. You can see I've got quite a big splot there, but that's fine. That's fine, that's perfect. Because the thing to remember about paint chips is it's not just where a stone pings up and hits the side of the vehicle. It's where, you know, a tree scrapes past it and scrapes the paint, or where somebody jumps on it with their size 9 boots and makes a big mess of the paint, and things like that. It's all stuff like that as well. And just the general wear and tear of everyday life that accumulates on the surface. And you do need to keep in mind, it's one of those things that's very easy to do too much, but it's also very easy to do too little. And I'm having trouble getting under these stubbers here, so we may have to fudge it around there with a brush a little bit later on. It's one of those things that you can do too much and you can do too little. And you have to keep in mind what's going to come after the chipping. I'm also trying to keep it random. I don't want like a bit there and a bit there and a bit there and a bit there, because that's a bit obvious. So I need some more paint. Let's reload the brush. So it's not a fast process, but trust me, this is a lot faster than doing it by hand with a brush. So we'll get most of the paint off on the tissue. And the reason I'm doing gloves, you don't need to, but sometimes you'll find after a little while your sponge will get to the point where it's not really working in the tweezers, and sometimes you just want to take the sponge in your hand and just do it like that for a bit more precise control, and that's fine. But then you get paint on your finger, and then you grab the model and you transfer paint, and you get a big fingerprint. If you keep gloves on, then at least if you do get paint on the glove and you transfer it to model, it just looks like a splotch rather than a fingerprint, if you know what I mean. Okay, so we'll just turn that around. I've got to be very careful with this. I'm not grabbing anything that's bendable or breakable, because that would suck. I will have a look at chat momentarily. So I've got quite a lot on that headlight there, but that's fine. We can build it up into a nice rusty colour. Just turn that upside down to get that bit. Not going to do too much underneath, but just this bit that you can see from when it's oriented normally. I'll get some on there, because this is where all the dirt and dust would really pile on. So I'm not fussed about getting it on the tracks. We'll paint them properly later. For now, they're just in a base grey colour. Just a generic grey colour that I need to lighten up anyway. Lighten up already. There. And you'll find you'll get big blobs of paint here and there. Don't need this thing under here anymore, do I? But for a lot of it, it'll just be tiny little speckles. And that's what you can build up later on. So I'll just get that there, put that there. We shall continue working. So how is everyone? I hope you're all well. I will have a look at chat in a moment. But as you can imagine, this is quite captivating doing this, and you do get carried away a little bit. So apologies if I miss a lot of chat. If you are watching this and you're embedded in Facebook or Twitter or something like that, and you can't see the live chat, just click on the YouTube icon in the bottom right hand corner of the video. That will take you to YouTube, where you can carry on watching, but you can also join in the live chat. And you should do, because this is all about hanging with my buddies in live chat. This is what I'm all about. So do come and join in. I'll answer your questions and stuff as we go along. If you are watching live chat, as you can tell, I've got my magnifying lenses on anyway, so it's hard for me to see stuff that's over there. Chat's over there in front of me. So if you are in chat and you want to get my attention, please put your comment in big fat capital letters, or, well, don't even bother with that. Just put @ModelMakingGuru, as Wendy Hickson has just done, because that puts my name in an orange box and I can see that. Or if you want to, you can, if you wish, do a super chat by pressing the dollar symbol at the bottom of the chat window. That puts your name in a coloured, you comment in a coloured box and does a little animated thing and makes a noise, and there's no way I can miss your comment then. And you're also helping to support the channel at the same time. So feel free. But I will have a look at chat in a moment. But if it's something urgent that you need to tell me, at the very least, do @ModelMakingGuru. Can I clean resin in an ultrasonic cleaning machine? Asks Wendy Hickson. I have no idea. I would suspect not, because the point of cleaning the resin is to remove the mould release agent that's on the resin, that's on there, so they can pull it out of the mould. And you really need to kind of very gently scrub it with a toothbrush. It's very easy to do it. All you do is literally get a bowl of water with some washing up liquid in it. Make sure it's got quite a lot of washing up liquid in there. Quite a soapy mix. And you can have it ever so slightly warm, not hot, just, you know, a little tiny bit warm, so you're not dipping your hand in ice cold water. Let them sit in there for 10 or 15 minutes. Bring each piece out, give it a gentle scrub with a toothbrush just to get everything off, and then just rinse it off under the tap and put it in a bowl of clean water and just leave them. If you want to, if you're not sure, you can always put them in washing up liquid water and just leave them overnight. Just the washing up liquid's a surfactant. It will help the mold release agent break off and dissipate and come off the resin. It's really about getting it out of all the little nooks and crannies. An ultrasonic cleaner might do that, but it might not. It might not really be. It's a bit like removing masking fluid. Think of it that way. You really want to do gentle scrubbing action. Now, I say it can look a bit weird when you start doing this, but you have to remember, it's one of those things when you're doing any kind of weathering, when you get your first base colours down, the model, you think, oh, that model looks brilliant. This thing I've just painted with the base colours, all the pre-shading, it looks fantastic. And then the next thing you do, you get used to looking at that. So the next thing you do kind of changes that, and then you think, oh, it looks terrible. Like, because I was really happy with the pre-shading and stuff on this. It looks really good, but now I'm doing this chipping, of course, it looks really weird now. It looks kind of mottled, and you're thinking, oh, it looks horrible. But that's because you've got bright green on there. Once I've done the weathering, and it all starts to blend it all together, and I fill some of these chips with darker chips and they fade away again, it'll start to come back to it. You just have to have faith that what you're doing will ultimately make sense and come together. That's the tricky bit. It's having faith at each step, because every time you do a step, it kind of ruins what you got used to in the last step. You get used to seeing it a certain way, and then you change it. And that's where you go, oh, I've ruined it now, but you haven't. Trust me, you haven't. I'm just going to put some chipping on these hatch covers. It's quite tricky because I don't want to push on them. May have to do that bit manually. Big splot there, doesn't matter. I can make that into a big chip, big rusty chip. So it will look a bit weird and diseased, like some kind of strange camouflage scheme at this point. But once you've done that, once you've done this, and you get all the weathering and streaking and stuff on top, a lot of this will blend away and you won't even see half of this. When I did those Bane blades, I thought the chipping looked fantastic, and then when I did all the streaking and stuff on top, it just vanished. And it didn't look like I'd done the work that I'd done, because half of the work I'd done just faded away into the background. But it's fine. I know it's there. You know it's there. We all scream for ice cream. Ooh, knocking the camera. I'll do a bit more chipping around panels and things and hatches, because that's where you'd have a lot of contact. Anyway, bench and belly. What's on your bench? What are you working on right now? And belly, what have you had for your dinner, or what are you going to have for your dinner? We're having a nice simple dinner tonight. We're having ham and chips, because I can't be bothered making anything complicated. Yes. Ham and chips. Just ham and chips, and maybe some beans or some Heinz pasta tubes or something, we don't know yet. Haven't decided. And of course, you know what's on my bench, because I'm working on it now, as we speak. If you're not got anything on your bench, then do a game and grub. What game are you playing right now? Doesn't have to be a video game, but any kind of game. Game and grub. Right now, I had a little bit of free time yesterday, and I wasn't in the mood to do anything else, so I started playing Metro 2033 Emergence, whatever it is. Exodus, that's it. It's the latest one. I played the original Metro 2033 way back when it first came out, and I quite enjoyed it. It was hard work. It wasn't an easy game. It was hard, slow. I'm not into horror games and things like that, but it was partly a horror FPS and partly just an FPS and partly a survival FPS. But it captivated me enough that I enjoyed it at the time. But it was hard work, and I came away from it. It's one of those games where, you know, sometimes you play a game and it's just relaxing, like Skyrim. You just play and it's chilled out, like a wander out. And then sometimes you play a game and it's actually stressful in a good way. Not stressful because you're thinking, oh, I'm going to die, and what. It's stressful because you're having to think. Like in Metro 2033, you know, you've got to consider, if you go outside, you've got to consider how long your gas mask filters will last and things like that. So it's not that simple and straightforward. So I played that years and years ago, and I enjoyed it at the time. Never played any of the ones that came out. And Microsoft had a sale a couple of months ago on games, and it had like the entire Metro set for like £10 or something. So I'm thinking, well, that's much better than spending 50 or 60 quid. It was on a sale, like a 90% sale or something. So I got all of them, and I've not played the second one yet. I started playing Metro 2033. I thought I'll play them in order. Started playing 2033 again, but I thought I'll give Exodus a try, because Exodus comes with ray tracing and global illumination, and I wanted to check that out. So, and I've only played a tiny bit of it, and it looks really nice. It does look really good. It seems good so far. I've barely got past the introduction level, and so I've not really started playing it properly yet. But even the introduction level, I was going slowly in my usual way, and it was quite cool. So I was having fun. Like I say, this may look really weird to the untrained eye, but it will all blend together when the chipping is done and when all the other weathering goes on. Because don't forget, we're going to have like grimes and streaking and stuff on here, and dust and dirt, and all this will just pretty much vanish. It can be a little bit disheartening, because you put all this work in, and I say all this work, this is a lot less work than if I was actually brush painting this. You put all this work in, and then when you have the finished product, you can't really see most of this. But you have to accept that your vehicle, your tank, or whatever it is, will have measles for a little while before it's finished. I'll have a look at chat in a moment, so I do apologise. When I'm doing these kind of streams, it is harder for me to... If I'm doing building, I can look at chat all the time. When I'm doing something like chipping, it's harder for me to read the chat all the time, so do bear with me if I'm not in chat and answering questions all the time. I'm doing my best. Where are we on? We're not even on camera. Are we on? Yes, we're on camera. So we'll just get these on. Yeah, so I started playing that. And I'm not ashamed to admit... Oh, I haven't put the decals on yet, have I? I'm not ashamed to admit I'm playing it on easy. I'm old now. I don't get a lot of time to play on the Xbox, so... In the old days, I'd play them on at least normal, you know, for a bit of a challenge. But nowadays, I'm like, I want to enjoy the story and the experience. I'm just a wuss. So let's just play these things on easy. So when I play through games now, I'm going to do some game streams. I still want to do a game stream of Medal of Honor Frontline. I need to do some testing on the setup for that because it's using a 360. I did debate whether to do some Red Dead Redemption 2, but probably not. Those kind of games, they never hold my interest for that long. But yes, anyway. When any stream games now, I will be doing the easy setting because I'm old and I'm not that good at these games anymore. I don't have the Twitch response that I used to have. On these barrels, I'll try and stick to the edges. Edges? We don't need no stinking edges, senor. I'll do some around the rest of it. Because you can imagine fuel barrels will take some battering, and they would be recycled. You know, if a barrel of Promethium gets used up, it's just put to one side and filled up again and put on something else. So they would get reused. So they're not going to be beautifully pristine, these puppies. Now I haven't put the decals, like I said, on this, so I will have things like an Aquila on the side of these barrels. And like, you know, unit markings and stuff on the vehicle. So that does mean, of course, see, logically what you should do whenever you do chipping is put your decals on first. Because, of course, in real life, markings are painted onto a vehicle. And if the paint gets chipped, well, then it gets chipped, so does the marking that's on top of it. That's how this works. That's physics in action. But I've only got a handful of decals to put on it, a couple of unit markings, and that's it. So I can chip those up later. Because I didn't really want to start a live stream and just sit here for 10 minutes, do 5 decals, and then sit here for an hour doing nothing because we're waiting for decals to dry. That would be a bit rubbish. So there you go. So yeah, I can do them later. More paint. Before I do more paint, I was going to have a look at chat, but I don't want my sponge to go all crusty and dry up. That's the trick with the sponge. If you've got a long session ahead, try and just get it all done in one go, because eventually, if you sit there, if I went downstairs for a cup of tea and stuff and left it for 20 minutes, when I came back, the sponge would just be hard, and you'd have to get a fresh bit of sponge. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm quite liking this piece of sponge. When you do sponge chipping, it's one of those things that you get your bit of sponge, and it's either spot on and it works brilliantly, or it's rubbish and it just doesn't work at all, and you just get big dots and you're like, oh, it's the wrong type, it was the wrong piece of sponge. Sometimes the sponge just doesn't help you out. It can be an enemy, not an ally. So yeah, there are some places I can't get to with the sponge, so I will have to do brush chipping with them, I think. Get busy with the brush. Like in that little recess, I can't quite get the sponge in there, but I'm sure it'll survive. Now you can see under here from the normal position, so I'll make sure to chip around here. Again, these are hatches, so they're going to get scraped and scratches. Hatches, the scratches. And there'll be, you know, stuff that goes under the tank will come out the other end and ping up and scratch. And also it helps disguise all the little scratches I've put into the surface of the model when I was cleaning up various marks and things. There's little scratches I've put in when I've removing you know, connection points from the sprue and things. I've got a few scratches here and there, so I need to kind of tidy those up. That looks a bit uniform around there, so I need to try and... I mean, that'll have dust and dirt on it anyway, so it's no big problem. I'm not putting chipping on these bits because I think I'll make these... I'll do chipping around the edge, but I think I'll make those bits kind of rubbery. I think. I can imagine these hatches will land on the floor occasionally, so we shall put them there. I need to wipe my nose because I've got the sniffly nose, and I don't want to wipe my nose with my hand because I've got a glove on, and that will be gross. Woo! There we go. My nose runs at all the wrong times. So what I'll do is I'll get this part of the hole done, and then I'll have a conversation with. I'll have a look at chat and stuff, and because I can use a different sponge for the turret. It is quite zen doing this. You just really the big challenge with this. There's no skill involved. The big challenge is just staying positive, because it does look a bit bish at first when you're doing this. You do look at it and think, oh dear God, what have I done? But you just have to stay positive and trust that it'll come good in the wash, because it will. Now you can see here, I don't know if you'll see here, but there's a bit of the paint here where the resin has chipped a little bit, and you've got this little sort of chip in the resin. Now normally, because the mould slipped a little bit, normally you would fill that in with a little bit of putty or filler. But I can't be bothered. So what I'm going to do is make it into a paint chip by painting the light colour inside that actual physical chip. It's basically where the mould slipped and you've got a little sort of 1/10 of a millimetre layer in the resin. So I'm going to basically make that into an actual paint chip, as if a layer of paint's pinged away and it'll be rusty inside. And that's the thing, if you're making like a not particularly weathered vehicle, then things like mould slippage, where you get like little lines and streaks and things like that, you've really got to clean with resin. You've really got to clean those up and tidy them up and get rid of them. You want it to look nice. But when you're doing heavy weathering like I do, stuff like that, in certain situations you can build it into the weathering. You can make it into chips. If I'm putting lots of chipping on the surface, then a very light mould slip that looks like a chip can be just made into a chip. Bonus, you know what I mean? No point losing sleep over that. If you can save yourself work, then you've had a good day. And the thing to remember is, at the end of the day, if it all goes completely to pot and you do this and you're like, I think I've screwed it up, I think I've screwed the pooch, then all you do is strip it. Get it in some Dettol or your paint stripper of choice, strip it off, start again. There's no such thing as a lost model. No such thing at all. That's what I base my entire Tabletop Trauma Centre channel on, you know, although I've only done one so far, is the idea of getting a model, stripping it down to plastic and then repainting it, because somebody painted it really badly and I'll try and paint it not badly. That's the whole point. So don't be afraid. I mean, you know, obviously that's not going to work in everything. If you made like some spanky sports car, that's not going to work. Yeah, but if it's like this, it's a tank or it's a vehicle where you can just strip all the paint off and start again, or a figure or something like that, then don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to screw up. Don't be afraid to experiment and test things out. Because the worst that can happen is that you go back and you strip all the paint off. And most model kits, if you're using like Dettol and stuff like that, it's not going to do any harm to the plastic. If you're doing a resin kit like this, it may possibly degrade the CA glue. If you've used CA glue, super glue, it may possibly degrade that and your bits will fall apart again, but then you just glue them back together. That's the one thing about using super glue on these kits. It can fall apart, but it's not the end of the world. So yeah, don't be afraid to just have fun. Try things out, and if it doesn't work, just go and strip it and start again. You've not ruined an expensive. A lot of people will get like an expensive model and they'll be like, "Well, I'm afraid to. I don't want to mess it up." Now, again, it's not possible on everything. Like if it's a, you know, you're building the perfect grade Falcon, you can't really strip that down. It's not really practical. You could do, but it's not really practical. But something like say like this, like a tank or a figure or something that's basically a big solid block that's not got billions of things, you can. As long as it's, you know, you can put it in a vat of Dettol and leave it to its own devices, you can strip it. Don't be afraid to just experiment and have fun. There we go. That's that side done. It looks terrible, but I remain calm. And if it helps at all, if it makes you feel better, even I even right now, I'm looking at this thinking, I don't know, I'm not sure. Because I have faith that the chipping will do me good. You know, it will come good in the end. But even I sit there sometimes and think, I might have done too much, I might have done too little, I don't know. Even I have those doubts, and I've done this for years. So don't be afraid. If you start having little panicky doubts, like, oh, have I messed it up, have I done this? Don't panic. It'll be good. Worst that can happen is you start again. It's not the end of the world. Especially with something like these Forgeworld kits, because they're not complicated. Like it's not a complicated tank with a million parts and a full interior. It's a block of resin shaped like a tank. Let's just be honest, with a few bits stuck on it. It's these resin kits. They tend to be. It's just a big block. So if it goes wrong, just strip it down, strip it back. No one will ever know. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. So yeah, I mean, even I'm looking at this right now and thinking, oh, am I gone a bit too far? I've done a bit too much. I have those doubts. But then again, I also know in the back of my mind what weathering is going to come and what's going to go on top of this. So what looks like absolute garbage right now, hopefully, fingers crossed, will not look like absolute garbage later. Just have fun with it. But as always, if you're learning a new technique, just go to your local hobby shop, your local hobby craft if you're in the UK, buy the cheapest crappy Airfix kit they've got. It's probably going to be about £7 or £8 because there's some really crappy Airfix kits out there. Buy the cheapest, crappiest Airfix kit they've got. Build it without giving a crap, and that is a test pig. That's your test pig. It's always good to have a few test pig kits. And it's either going to be like something you've bought for dirt cheap that you don't care about. That's always a good one. Okay, my sponge isn't working as much now. It's kind of flattened out a bit, so I need to adjust and reposition. Yeah, it's either something you built years ago that you don't care about and you've stripped it down and now it's just your test pig, or it's just a crappy cheap kit. And usually things like planes and tanks are good because they're just simple. They're easy to strip, and you do all your test painting on it. When you finish, you can strip it back or just paint over it again. And they're good places to test out new methods and new techniques. I would never, unless you're particularly ballsy or like me really lazy, I would never try and learn a new technique on a model you want to be the final product. I would always, if you're learning something new, it's always wise just to maybe get a test going on first. And of course, if you're doing, say, Millennium Falcon, which I think is one of the easiest paint jobs you'll ever do, if you're doing a Falcon, go and get yourself one of the crappy 20 quid Revell ones that are just garbage. There's a garbage kit. They look like absolute mega ass, biblical ass, but at the same time, this is a great test pig. Good Falcon test pig. So go for it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Now, I will admit from time to time, I do think, I'm going to try this technique, but I'm going to use it in anger live on this model I'm actually making and not on a test pig. And so far as yet, I've never suffered the consequences in a bad way, but that's usually because I can cover stuff up with weathering. Oh, it didn't quite come out, I'll just put a big bird mark there. There you go. Oh, look, it got hit by a rocket. Yeah. There's always a way out. That's why I like doing the weathering, you see, because it gets me out of all the scrapes and scratches. With scrapes and scratches. So anyway, let's do a channel update. How are things going with me? Well, as you know, I have been, of course, spending a lot of time looking after Mama Fox. She's still recovering from. Last year was hard. It's going to take her a long, long time to get back to normal, if ever. So I do take a lot of time to look after her and do stuff for her. So time at the bench has been limited, but also our motivation has been completely impacted as well, because it's one of those things where you're doing something like that and you really think to yourself, I just need to sit and chill for a bit. I haven't got the energy. So things have taken a downturn. I appreciate that over the last year. I've not done a lot of videos. I'm hoping to get back into that. I've got part works piling up again, so I need to do them anyway. My focus right now at the moment, obviously, with things like this, is just to get things built and sold so I can get some money coming in. And then once that's a bit better, I can get back to just building things for video series. I've got a lot of things I need to paint and film that I really want to get to. I wanted to paint and film this, but this needs to get sold. this needs to get painted and sold. The Bane blades went so well that I need to get this painted and sold now. But I do have the other one, the Malcadorian Furnace that George bought me as a present, as a Secret Santa. So that's obviously not going to get sold. So I can film and paint that one. And there will be more Bane blades in the future because, you know, I'll build and paint more Bane blades. They sell really well, so there will be a Bane blade painting tutorial at some point. You can count on that. Right, so we're just going to do any final touches. I think more on this front part because this is where all the stuff happens. More here. I was being a bit... When I first start out, it's always the same. When you first start out with your chipping, you're always a bit delicate and twee. By the time you get to the end of the model and you're doing that, you're just slapping it on. You're like, just... What are you, Ted?
Slap it on.
Yeah, that didn't work. It took me too long to remember where the button was, so the joke died. Never mind. Humour fails are the worst fails. Now, what I need to do here is a little bit of cunningness as well, which I may as well do while I'm here. Or shall I do it later? I might do it later. I've got some weasel skills to do on the front of this tank. You can see I'm doing these little blobs and it's making little circular blobs. I don't really like that. It's too unique, too ununique. So I'm going to get some paint on the sponge. Not get as much off it as I normally would, because I need to pad these out a little bit. They just look like little dots and I need to really kind of random them up. So we'll go a bit heavier here. This will be covered with dirt and dust anyway. But you can imagine a lot of things get squished under this tank, so there'd be quite a bit of wear and tear, das ist richtig. Right, so that's that bit done. I'll just go around the turret area a bit more. Okay, there we go. Not that you're going to see that really, but right, so that is that bit done. I'll do some more around here, around the turret, because that's where the dude... Hello, I'm getting a text message. Hang on, receiving. Oh, there's a text message from Her Majesty's Passport saying renewing a passport could take up to 10 weeks. I don't know why they've sent me that text. It's probably spam. Why would they? It's like if the government's going to text everybody in the UK, then say there's a volcano or an earthquake or something, or tsunami. Don't just say, "Hey, it's going to take a while to get your passport redone." Brilliant. I wasn't looking at redoing my passport anytime soon. Never mind. I'm not going to bother too much down here because, like I said, you're not really. Oh, actually, I'll get the back bit done. You're not going to see much of that, and it's going to be covered in earth anyway. So I'll get this little bit done, then we'll take a little break and we'll have a look at chat. So yes, anyway, so I'm trying my best to dedicate time to filming and stuff. I have the e-models build that I need to do, and I've got all things that I need to paint and film. And to be honest, I'm so out of the practice of actually filming. There's also a little bit of, like, you know, opening night nerves. Like, can I even remember how to film? Can I still film? Is it something I can do? So we shall see. I need to get paint on a different part of the sponge, I think, to get in that little crook and nanny. Need to use the side of the sponge here because the other bit's too big and fat with a PH, not an F. Need to kind of work it into there. There we go. A bit better. It looks a bit heavy, but again, that will be covered in mud and dirt anyway, so it's fine. See if I can get some on the inside of these, on the other side of these hatches, because I didn't really get much on there last time. There we go. Again, it looks terrible right now, but it will come together with the weathering that's to come. So that is that bit done. I shall get rid of this piece of sponge. I'm not going to bother about down below. We were. Get rid of that bit of sponge. Served me well, sponge, but you must go now. I shall do a big burp. I'll put this to one side. I shall get the turret of happiness. Happiness, I said. I'll need to put this somewhere safe. I'll put it over there. Wow, I've just moved it off the bench into the harsh, darker, contrasty light of the other desk, and it's like, wow, because all the greens suddenly go a lot darker. It's like, oh, yeah, it looks a bit weird. Right, swig of tea. Let's have a look at chat. Where are we? Do. Flox, you should have even. I'm not Dr. Flox. You should have saved the fluff for JC Brick so he could have a new beard. Lol. I don't know what that means. I'm not in that loop. Just a thought. Airbrush the tracks red brown to start with, and then gunmetal by dry brushing. Says Graham. And with the tracks on this one, I'm going to try a different technique. I'm going to try. Oh, excuse me. Wiping my nose. I'm going to try. The technique where you start off with the light grey and then you use oil or enamel rust colour washes to build up the rusty texture, and then you can do a graphite dry brush over the top, and also earthy washes for the dust and dirt that's going to be in the tracks. They're not going to be muddy. So I'm trying it the other way. Rather than just painting them rust colour, which is kind of flat, I'm going to try some oil and enamel funkiness on these. Same with the exhaust. That's also the reason that the exhausts at the back are grey. And they need to go lighter than that, actually. They're also grey for the same reason. I'm going to try that kind of rust technique where you start off with a very light white colour and then you rust them up. It's like using glazing almost, and it can look quite nice, and I've seen a few things people do it, so I'm going to try that. Paul Di Tommaso says no heat though. Oh yeah, that's the only thing about using ultrasonic cleaners. They do generate heat, and if you put resin in hot water, it can soften it. That's how you reshape resin parts. It can soften it, and you can reshape it. So make sure the water isn't hot. I just use a toothbrush and a bit of soapy water. It's just as much fun. Get a podcast going on. Sit there for an hour or two. Mark Shellard says, take your kit into the shower. Always gets it clean. Paul Di Tommaso says, yeah, but don't step on any parts or drop them down the drain. Reggie Modeler says, old Orc Boys and Test Big Space Marine working on custom chapter. Belly, nothing yet. That's his bench and belly. Paul Di Tommaso says, Master Grade Eclipse Gundam, and the belly is chicken chunks and fries. Daisy is a good game at the moment, says Lord Barkley III. Never played that. The newest Metro game is great, says Paul Di Tommaso. That's the one I'm playing, the Emergence Exodus, that's it. I just remember the original Metro 2033 being hard graphed. It's one of those games that you can't just switch off and play it. It's hard. It's not quite survival horror, but you've got to pay attention. You can't. It's not a relaxing game. It was a bit like playing. Do you remember the original Fear? FEAR, First Something and Assault Recon. That was a grueling game. It's one of those games almost where you're almost not actually having fun, but you're enjoying the process. You're not necessarily saying, yeah, this is... You're not. You're like, this is really stressful. I'm really stressed out. But it's kind of enjoyable. It's weird. I've not played the second one, though, so... Last Light, not played that one. Scale Modelling Chaos says, belly, sausage, chips and beans with HP sauce. Good lad. Bench 172nd Edward Tornado doing all the photo etch for the cockpit game. Just downloaded Sea of Thieves yesterday. So planning to have a go at that later. Did I try that? I can't remember if I tried that. I don't think I did. Scale Model Ninja's in. Evening all. Welcome, Ross. Paul Di Tommaso says hello. And Scale Modelling Chaos says hello. Max McGinn. Belly, Chicago Town Pepperoni Pizza. Bench finished painting Tower Pathfinders for the Farsight Enclaves even. And I'm working on Imperial Guard Infantry Squads for a Kill Team game, lol. Yeah, Imperial Guard are great. They're so much fun to paint because they're so straightforward. Skin, green. It's basically you've got armour colour, material colour, skin, weapon. There's like 6 colours in Imperial Guard. You can, whatever colour scheme you do, you can keep it nice and simple. And they're always dead open and are easy to paint. There's no little hard, complicated bits like with, say, Tempestus Silence. So you just... Yeah, you can rattle through Imperial Guard. Jamie Bones in. Hey, Jamie. Welcome. Big hugs. It's a skill fox. Practice, practice, practice. Age is of no issue for gaming. It is when you lose your ability to be patient with things. In the old days, I'd be like, if I was playing a game and I get to a bit that I couldn't get past, I'd just keep trying it. Like, when I was younger, I finished Medal of Honor Frontline, even though it gets ridiculously harder and harder as the game goes on, and the end of it is just ridiculously hard. I finished it. I finished Halo Combat Evolved on Legendary. I can't do it now. I haven't got the... It's just, as I've got older, I haven't got the patience. I think, as I've got older, I think I've changed that I play games more to relax and to zone out, I think. And that's where, when they start giving me ridiculous challenges, I've not got the patience with boss battles, and that's why I hate Ubisoft games so much. I can't stand Ubisoft games, because ever since I played a few of the games where I failed a training... I played one of the Assassin's Creed games, no idea which one it was, and it literally, I kept failing the training level because of poor game design. It's like, you have to follow this guy who's teaching you how to do all the running across the rooftops. He says, quick, follow me and we'll have a race. So I followed him, and of course I'm learning the controls, so I'm like, oh, I need to go there, I need to go there. And he gets too far ahead of you, and he says, oh, you failed because he got too far ahead. And I'm like, you should never fail someone on a training level. So I've just put the controller down and deleted the game, and yeah, never went back to Ubisoft after that. I did a couple of their games where it's like, you know what, no, Ubisoft games, no. And then I did try Watch Dogs. Was it Watch Dogs? No, the other one. Was it Watch Dogs? The one where, I can't remember which one it was now. Was it the second one? First one? No, I did... what's the other one? The Tom Clancy's nonsense with that came out the other year. Anyway, I tried that, and it got to the rooftop. We have to battle this boss, and I was like, I tried it 4 or 5 times. I was like, I'm bored now. I'm deleting it. If I fail a boss fight like 4 or 5 times, I'll just delete the game. I can't be bothered. I haven't got the patience anymore. I really can't. I hate boss fights anyway. So anything like that where I can't get past something, it's just, no, I can't. I love the Metro game series, especially. It has a lot of Stalker game features, says Max McGinn. I will go back and play the first one again, but I just want to try the third one. Nobody likes a crusty sponge, says Mark Shellard. True words were never spoken. Truer words, even. Soften the sponge with custard works for me, says Lord Barkley. I like that. Paul Di Tommaso says, fear leads to the dark side. Mark Shellard says, I asked for a stripper once. It wasn't what I expected. Paul Di Tommaso says, was it a brunette, blonde or redhead? He said redhead. And Chaos says, that's because you asked for the cheapest stripper they had. Oops, knocking the camera. Hello. What happened in there? Hang on. We've had a situation. It's a situation. Hang on. Camera situation. Let me just... I knocked my thing. Where's me centre point now? There we are. Somewhere there. Somewhere. I don't actually know what happened then. I just completely knocked the camera out of place. Where's my tank? I can't tell you how different this looks just by putting it on the other desk. Hopefully that's in focus. Yeah. I just move it from here on the fully lit bench to my desk over there, and the whole colour just changes. Here it looks like, I don't know what. Over there it goes all Master Chief green. It's really weird. Just to the different lighting. Where up to? I like doing chips and small detail like this, but it can get lost and time flies, says Bulfwin. Bulfwin or Bulfwine? Bulfwine? Bulfwin. Do apologise if I've mangled the pronunciation. Bulfwin. Welcome. Not seen you in chat before. Yeah, I find... I mean, I'm all about the weathering. I can't stand the building, but I love the painting and weathering. It's what I do, man. Just when I thought it was safe to go back into the earphones, Fox does a big burp, says Quano Man. Hey, Dan, I may have to punishify my earphone for existing, possibly with fire. Yes, hey, Dan. There is a new model game in Steam, Model Builder. It's kind of like the simulator games, it seems, but it looks great. Came across it this morning, says Bulfin. Yeah, that came out, I think, last year. It's like a sim game, isn't it? But you're like... Yeah, you're building model kits in this sim game. It's like It's like the the Jet Wash Simulator or the other thing. There's other little sort of sim games. Surprise stream, says Cy Reynolds. I shall peruse after dinner. Hey, Cy. Hello, big hugs. I was going to ask if you wanted to join, but I knew you'd be doing your dinner, and you like to do the cooking and stuff. So, the new Dying Light 2 Stay Human is now on stream, but at $54.99. The reason I started playing Metro yesterday was I saw a trailer for Dying Light 2. And I thought, oh, this looks nice. And I watched the trailer, And I was kind of interested until I realised it's mostly melee, and I was like, oh, I'm not interested in that then. I want a rifle. I need scopes and sights. If you can give me a massive open world where I can just pootle about and shoot zombies without having to do any survival, I can just, literally, it's like Skyrim, but just wandering around. Or, you know, Fallout 4, I'm just wandering around the world and just popping off a few shots here and there. I'm more than happy. But no, it's all melee. I'm like, no, I don't want that. We don't do melee in this house. Same link as normal. I'll jump in 25-30 minutes if you're still on. I'm going to be finishing shortly. About 20. I'm going to get the chipping done on this and then probably call it a stream because I need to go make my dinner. So we'll leave it for this time, but I'll do more of these. I'll let you know. But thank you for the offer. I pinged Colin as well earlier on, but I'm guessing he was asleep. Right, we'll do one last little bit on this turret. And I think we'll call it a stream then, because I didn't plan on this being a long stream. Let me just fluff this with a pair of scissors. That sounds really wrong. Can't imagine anything worse than being fluffed with a pair of scissors. Okay, love, says Cyrels. Yeah, I'll be finishing in about 20 minutes anyway, so. But thank you. Right, so it's all about the shape. Try and get a nice. You don't want to grab the sponge like that all the way at the top, because then you've got like a tiny little area. You want to grab it at the bottom. Always grab the bottom. That's one thing I've learned in life. But you know, only legally. Don't grab the bottom illegally, because that ends in consequences. And so there is a Gundam mecha building game on Steam called MASS Builders. It's probably the closest to Gundam game today. I did see a trailer for a new Warhammer video game today, and I was like, oh, here's another Warhammer video game. Oh look, it's another isometric, top-down RTS type. Not interested. It's like, when are they going to stop making the same game for Warhammer? It's like, oh, it's another like control your units top-down. Stop making games like that. Make more first-person Warhammer games. It is the way of things. And if you're out there and you play those games, stop buying them. Otherwise they'll keep making them. I don't know. Right, so we'll do the same again on here. Bit more carefully applied on here, because this is up on the turret, and the only real wear and tear you're really going to get up on here is from, you know, people doing things. You're not going to get bushes and trees banging into stuff all the time, so it's more manual traffic. I'm just making it up. It's just chip it where you want to chip it. Depends how old you want to make this tank look. Now again, this is Warhammer, so in the lore of Warhammer, these vehicles can be hundreds, if not even thousands of years old. Because that is the way the Imperium do. So don't be afraid to weather the living carp out of it. A bit too much paint on that bit. See, I'm not liking this sponge as much. It's not playing ball as much as the other one. It's not as friendly to my needs. I did get myself as well. I treated myself last week to. I finally got round to replacing my Thrustmaster HOTAS setup that I used to play Elite Dangerous, because they're not very good, and they kind of, the pots go after about a year and they become like dead zone horrible, and it gets to the point where you can't actually use it anymore, and they went that way. So I originally got it lasted me about a year and a half, 2 years. You can't really fix it, so I thought I'll get a new one about 2 years ago, and for some reason the price went up from like 70 quid to 200 quid for that specific one. There's only one you can use on the Xbox for Elite Dangerous. It's like, oh. And it's not the best one. So I'm like, brilliant. So I'm not paying £200 for a HOTAS setup that's actually about 70 quid when you buy it brand new in the shop. But for some reason the values went up. Maybe they were hard to get hold of, I don't know. But I found one the other day. It was like, all right, 75 quid. There you go, back to normal. Fantastic. So I ordered one, so I can get back to playing Elite Dangerous now. Woohoo! I never did get to Sagittarius A-star. I'm kind of halfway there. So get back into playing a bit of that. But sometimes you just jones for a bit of first-person action. And I wanted to check out Metro Exodus purely for the ray tracing, because it's the only game I've got at the minute for the Series X that's got any kind of ray tracing in it. And I know it's really just global illumination, but still. It looks real pretty. And we're chipping, and we're chipping. Chipping around where these hand grab rails are, because obviously people are walking around on there. You get chipping on these stowage bins, because people are grabbing them and flipping them back and forth. And again, most of the chipping will actually vanish anyway once the weathering's done. But hey, what can you do? I've been enjoying Halo Infinite as well. I've still not got even halfway in the storyline. I've just been enjoying going around the world. So don't say anything in chat about the story. I've not really got very far. I've got as far as it's telling me to go to the archaeological dig site, and that's as far as I've got. I haven't gone to that site yet, so no spoilers, please. But yeah, that's quite good fun. I'm enjoying the grappling hook traversal. That's quite fun and enjoyable. And of course, being a Halo game, the gunplay is great. I like the fact in Halo Infinite, because you've got your forward operating bases, you can refill your ammo when you need to, which means for the first time in a Halo game, I can reliably walk around with just the battle rifle and the assault rifle as my two main weapons all the time. Because the one thing that made me really sad in Halo 2 and Halo 3 was they brought in the battle rifle, which is brilliant, but they rarely gave you enough ammunition for it. So you get the battle rifle, you'd have it for a little bit, you'd run out of ammo, and then you have to go and use like a Covenant carbine or something. It was never the same. Halo 2 was all Covenant carbine. I'm like, oh, I want the battle rifle. I didn't want the Covenant carbine. So I can quite happily tool around now with just nothing but my battle rifle and assault rifle for grunts. Mopping up grunts. It was great fun. Total awesome times. I've not even used a sniper rifle yet. But my little technique that I use is if it's like an elite or a brute, I just literally grapple them so they get the electric shock. As I get towards them, I jump back but stick a sticky grenade on them or a spike grenade and then just jump back. So basically I hit them, zap them with grab them with the grapple, give them electric shock, smack them when I get up to them because it pulls me towards them, smack them with the butt of my gun, and as I jump back, stick a grenade on them, boom, they're toast. And I actually fought the first two bosses that way. I didn't use the motion tracker thing. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to grapple and stick. There you go, done. That's how I play this game. And it was most joyous. It was joyous to behold. Where's all the paint on this sponge? Where are you painting? There you are. I seem to have a drought. I managed to put paint on the bit of the sponge that's not in contact with anything. Spoon. Let's try that again. Yeah, but as I've got older, I think I've just got less and less patience with games now. I think since I started playing open worldy stuff like Fallout, where I can just wander around and explore, I think that's really... I always used to love first-person games, but once I learned of these games where you can just explore at your own pace and do whatever you want, even though there are things to do, you can just pootle about. Ever since I learned you can do pootle about games, that's all I want to do. That's why I'm hoping that the next Elder Scroll games is just like Skyrim, but with better graphics, because that'll make me more than happy. Be able to wander around and foots. Make a happy little fox, that would. Happy little fox. More chipping around this cupola because it's where the dudes get in and out. A lot of chipping around the back where the ladder is, because again, it's where all the contact with people's arms and feet and boots is going to be. I don't want to go too heavy on the chipulatories. The difficulty is, though, that I'll sit there and I'll be like, I don't want to go too heavy with the chipping, so I'll be really careful and cautious. And then when I do the weathering, I've been so careful and cautious that 99% of the chipping vanishes. And it looks like I haven't done any weathering at all. It's like, oh, Curses to you, sir. Curses, I say. But it's all part of the happy little accidents. These things happen. You can't. That's the beauty of the sponginess, you see, is it's completely random almost. I'm going to cover all of that in paint, so I at least get some on there. So I think after I've had my dinner tonight, I might go and play a bit more of Metro Exodus. So I'm only at the bit where you do the opening introductory scene, and then the game proper starts, and you're in obviously a base of some sort, and you've been given the medical attention. So I've just got to that bit. The only thing I'm not sure of though, and you can feel free to do spoilers here, is I'm sure when I played the first game, at the end of it, it was something to do with aliens or something, and you had to go to the top of a tower, and I don't remember how it finished though. So when I watched the preamble for the Metro Exodus, it doesn't mention anything. It just says, yeah, there was a war, and then there was the pretend Nazis, and then something, and then everybody's happy now. And I'm like, what? So somebody remind me if you can what happened at the end of the first Metro 2033, because I can't remember. Was it like aliens or evolved humans or something, and did you destroy them or did you not? I can't honestly remember. It doesn't really matter, I know, but just I'm more curious, and I think I'm having trouble getting paint off this sponge. It's most annoying. It's most frustrating. It is annoyancing me. Like I say, I know it's been like what, whenever the first game, it's like 10 years or something since I played the first game. So I know you're at Diom and you have to escape the underground, and there's something about aliens or these mutated humans, and it's the evolution of, and then you destroy something. I think you climb a tower or something. I don't know. I'm getting it kind of mixed in my brain with Cade stashes in Destiny and other things, so I don't really know. And don't tell me what happened in the second game, Last Light, because I've not played that yet. So I don't really want to go back and play the first Metro just yet. So, but feel free to remind me what happened if anybody's played it. And if that means somebody else gets spoilers in the chat, I don't mind. I only care about spoilers when it affects me. Harsh, wasn't it? So mercenary me. Do some chipping around the turretings with the big boomsticks, where the big boom would be. Yeah, so much I want to paint and get built. All my orc stuff, my orc resin stuff. I need to get all that done. So I need to get back into it. So I'll probably get a load of part work stuff done first, because I'm backing up on my part works again. Again, it's very difficult just because of looking after Mama Fox. And don't get me wrong, I have no problem at all looking after Mama Fox. I love Mama Fox to bits, but it does make scheduling things quite tricky. She does come first, obviously. I never know whether to do much weathering under these bits, whether you're going to see them or not. But this sponge is not being helpful. See, that first bit of sponge was spot on perfect. This one is not cooperative. Sometimes that's just the way sponge is. Sometimes it works with you, sometimes it works against you. And you'll never know which it is till it's too late. I don't know why I went Scottish. It's no reason for that at all. Oh, big dot of paint there, but that's fine. We'll make it into a paint chip later. It doesn't matter if you get a bit too much paint on there occasionally, because you just get big chips then. You can make them into bigger chips and things. But just be careful with it. There's no point doing this middle bit, because that's the bit that sits in the hole. But you can see I'm handling this thing very gingerly, and it's a solid block of resin, but at the same time it's got a delicate little heavy stubber on the top, which I don't want to break. Big chip there, but that's fine. We can make that into basically a big chip. And what I'll do is, you see where that big chip's there, I can reflect it on the side as well. It looks more logical, like something's happened there that's made the chip on that side and the front. So there you go. Try and keep things reasonably commonsensical. And all these chips I've done at the start, they're all looking really faint now. And now they've dried. Oh well, it'll be fine. So, there we go. Big chip there, some big chips on the bottom of the little turrety bit. There we go. I think that will suffice for weathering on the turretage. There we go, a bit on there. Bit more. This is going to be quite chipped, I suppose, because it's going to traverse back and forth, isn't it? So, whoop, nearly dropped it then. That will do, I think. There we go. Right, get rid of that bit of sponge. Bye, sponge! Oh, I've just done that, and there's one last piece I need to chip. I've just remembered. I've got that little grill that goes up back at the engine. Oh. Can I get that sponge back? Sponge back SquarePants? No? Yes? Yes, I can. Ah, there it is. Hang on. Hang on. Rescue mission. Rescue my sponge. Yes. It was sitting in the waste bin. I've got like a carrier bag that I put my waste bits of tissue and stuff in when I'm painting. Managed to rescue it. Yeah. I've only got this one bit to do. There we go. You can see I've got some paint on my thumb there, so you'll see me doing this. I'm always like rubbing my fingers together just to make sure I don't accidentally get paint on stuff. But if you do wear gloves, like I say, it does mean that if you do get a bit of paint on your hand and you do transfer it to the model, because you'll be handling it while you're chipping, you're not going to get a dirty great big thumbprint or fingerprint. You'll just get a blob. And if that happens, then that's not the end of the world. You can disguise that as a paint chip later on. So always wear gloves when you're doing this. Anything like this. Burpularity. Ham and chips. That sounds almost taste like a food. I'm not looking forward to dinner, to be honest. Ham and chips. It's not very exciting. It's not very exciting at all. Not to me. Mama Fox likes it, but to me it's just boring. I can always make myself something else, of course. I've got some little microwave curries. I could put them with some chips instead for me. And just give Mama Fox the ham. Right, so that is those bits done. That's that first base of chipping done. It's the first highlight coat. Now it looks kind of weird, I know, but hey. We'll see where it goes. To take my gloves off. Now I don't know if I'll do this for the next... I don't know if I'll, stream the next lot of chipping and stuff. I might just crack on with it, I don't know. I haven't filmed this build. The process of, or the priority of this build is just get it built and sold. That's the whole point of this particular project. So we shall see. I'll move that way so you can see it better. Betterer. There you go, it's a bit better. So what I've got to do next is all the chipping inside these chips, and this is what I like to do. You see. Now I've got all the highlight. This would have been about 10 or 12 hours of brush painting to do all this manually. I've got to do some because I've got to go underneath these stubbers and get some chips under there. But to brush paint these like individually would have taken like 9 or 10 hours. With a sponge for this stage, it's so fast, and it looks more random and spickly and little tiny dots and stuff. It looks much better. But the next step is to take a dark brown colour or a dark grey, depending on your preference. And go inside these chips. This suggests the chip where the top layer of paint's been scraped but not completely off. So you're not seeing bare metal, you're actually seeing clean paint. You've got like your dirty paint on top and then that's been scraped away and you've got clean fresh paint exposed. Or it's just gone white with the stress of being chipped. In some places you want the paint to come off completely, and that's where you'll go for like a dark brown chip to suggest rusty metal, or you can go for a dark grey chip to suggest that some prime has been exposed. And then in some places beyond that you might want to suggest complete just bare metal. So you could have a mixture of dark grey and dark brown if you want rusty metal, or dark grey and metallic shades if you want some areas to be like bare metal. But we'll probably have some bare metal stuff as well. But yeah, that's the first step. So the next step will be to go inside these chips now, and that's where we'll use a fine brush. And it won't take us long because we've already laid out where the main chips are going to do. So the next thing I need to do is add a few more light green chips with the brush, just like under here in places that I can't get to. And then we can go in with the heavy chipping, the brown. But what I might do before that is put the decals on, and then, so for example, if I put a decal here, I might then put the decal on and add some extra chips in the light green with a brush. And I've not decided yet if I actually want to paint some red and white stripes on this. But I'll do that after. I wanted to do that after I've done this chipping, because I didn't want to paint red and white stripes and then chip them with green, because that would be stupid. So yeah, so we shall see. And the plan for the tracks, like I say, is once all the chipping's done, get these painted, get these lightened up with lots of very light grey colours. I'll probably stipple on some light grey colours, and then go over them with rust coloured oils or enamels and such, and dusty colours later on. So yes. Yeah, so anyway, that's going to do us, I think. I'll go off and make me dinner and look after Mama Fox. So thank you very much for watching this impromptu and very short, only an hour and a half, short live stream. As and when I can do more impromptu ones of these, it may be in the mornings. The one time I can guarantee I've got free time to do any kind of streaming is in the morning. Now, I know you're all at work at that point, which is a bit rubbish. But it may be that I have to do a few live streams in mornings here and there. I need to do a couple more free models, and they will be in the morning. As and when I can do afternoon streams like this one, I will, Mama Fox allowing. And of course, evening streams, again, it's tricky because other people stream and wait for Mama Fox and things like that. So we'll see. But I will leave you now. Don't forget, of course, I will be back on Friday with Colin for the Festa 67 for the Friday Frolic over on Festa 67's workshop. And I will be back on Sunday for Warhammer Sunday. I'll try and do some more impromptu streams in the meantime. I might just do some filming instead though, so stay tuned either way. Don't forget, of course, if you're not already supporting this channel, if you would like to support this channel, please do consider becoming a patron or a channel member. You can go to patreon.com/modelmakingguru. I'm going to put some alcohol on this and clean the paint off them tweezers. Patreon.com/modelmakingguru and become a patron. Or you can just simply click the join button underneath any one of my videos, and that way, I'm just cleaning these tweezers off with some alcohol. That way you can get access to all the free cool stuff. And we've just had a super chat. Wendy Hickson says, thanks Fox, £5 super chat. Wendy, thank you very... There you go. Thank you very, very much, Wendy. That is very lovely of you. Big hugs. Thank you. You didn't need to do that, but you're very kind that you did. Yeah, you get access to the free 24/7 Hangout, live camera Hangout. You don't have to have a camera. You can go in there without a camera, just a microphone. And if you want to, you can just go in there and just do text. There's also a Facebook chat group for that Hangout. So if you want to, you can just do the Facebook group. If you want to join those, if you're already a patron and member and you're not in the 24/7 Hangout or anything like that, there are links in the description below the video. Follow those links. If you're a patron or a member, choose the right link. It'll tell you what the login and code and how to access it all. So it still works then, says Wendy. Oh yes, it always works. Thank you very much, Wendy. You're very kind. I test things with money. Yeah, so if you're a member or patron, you're not already in the 24/7 Hangouts, go and click in the links down below. Follow the one for your patron or membership, whatever it is, if you're a patron or member. And it's all my patrons and all my channel members and all the patrons and channel members from Colin's channel as well in there. And it's a really nice place, so go and hang out in there. Colin's in there quite often. I don't often get a chance to go in there, but it's not about hanging out with me and Colin. It's about hanging out with each other, and we'll just occasionally pop in. So go and check it out. Anyway, yes, until next time, I shall see you very soon. Make sure if you're subscribed, make sure to click that notification bell. I may do more impromptu streams, and if so, if you've got the bell clicked, it'll let you know, or it should let you know if YouTube's not being an arse. But until then, I shall say thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. I'll give you one final little...
Slap it on.
Just for good times, just for old times' sake. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much, Wendy, for your super chat. Take care. I shall see you all soon. Don't forget, I think Colin's streaming tomorrow on 5:30 for his usual, I think it's 5:30 for his usual Wednesday stream, to make sure to watch that over on Festa 67's workshop. I might see you before then, but if not, take care of yourselves. Go make something awesome. Go be awesome. And until then, adios amoebas.